A couple of years ago, Nicolas Cage was in a film called Willy's Wonderland, and he never spoke a line of dialogue. In the Hulu sci fi thriller No One Will Save You, Kaitlyn Dever comes very close to accomplishing that very same lack of dialogue. This is an alien movie, so is the watching experience friendly or more like being probed? Brynn is a creative and talented young woman who's been alienated from her community. Lonely but ever hopeful, Brynn finds solace in the walls of her childhood home until she's awakened by strange noises from unearthly intruders. Brynn then engages in a face-off with a host of extraterrestrial beings who threaten her future while forcing her to deal with her past. I think throughout this movie, there's a total of like 15 words spoken. I mean, there are some mumblings by people in the distant background, but typically it's unintelligible and just comes across like noise. Kaitlyn Dever stars in this as Brynn, the central figure, and really, she's the only person that we interact with throughout the 93-minute runtime. Through almost the entirety of the story, Brynn just moans, grunts, makes other guttural sounds. I mean, almost like she's unable to speak, but she does have the ability. The script just wanted more of a physical performance rather than one that's hampered by dialogue. Honestly, it was a bit weird, and the whimpering and groans, they did get to become a little bit tiresome and laughable, as well as distracting. Now, this is most certainly a sci-fi film, but I wasn't expecting the level of anxiety and tension that was built as the events play out. I mean, think of this like a home burglary, where unknown beings break in and then start rifling through belongings. And then, once they realize somebody's home, they take up a slow and quiet pursuit through the house to find the residents. And then combine that with these animalistic chittering noises, and the whole thing, it becomes unsettling very quickly. The suspense and dread that's built is very effective throughout the narrative. We do get to see more of the beings early on than I wish we had, but the creature design, it's shockingly fun and impressive. There's a point when a huge being is visible, and it's performing moves with its appendages. I mean, I laughed out loud because it looked like it was doing the movements from the OA. There's also a decent mix of special and practical effects, creating spooky imagery that's designed to create unease, and I think it worked. Now, interwoven throughout the entire storyline is Brynn's mysterious past. She appears to have just massive social anxiety, but it's also coupled with an awkwardness and then huge attitude from other residents. And slowly, over the course of the movie, we do get insight into what happened, some of which becomes a little obvious before it's revealed, but the how and the why, those are completely kept from us until the story is ready to present those elements. Now, as a chase thriller with pursuing beings and lots of darkness and shadows for them to hide in, the movie works really well. And it's thin on story, but big on dread and jitters, which make for a lot of enjoyment. Now, I love how this also grows slowly. The story doesn't rush what's happening, but once things start to appear, which is actually pretty early in the film, the pace maintains a consistent rise in anxiety, never letting up. A movie is really fun right up until the end. And then it isn't fun. The end feels cheap and unrealistic. And that means it's unrealistic within a movie about extraterrestrial beings coming down to invade people's homes. I mean, I think the writers are trying to create a cathartic redemption arc that's heavy on compassion, but it feels way out of left field. I mean, it's unlikely, and then it even breaks all of the tension. I don't want to get to the end of something that has had me pretty much on the edge of my seat to then change tones all of a sudden. I just want it to match the feel and the trajectory that had been established so that the final act feels like it belongs with the rest of the movie rather than being an alternate ending sort of thing that accidentally got kept in the final cut. The type of ending that would fit with all that had been established is one that's futile. And yeah, I know that's not happy, and it may even sound unsatisfying, but given all that we watch play out, a conclusion of futility, it would work really well. So really, No One Will Save You does so much right for 3/4 of the film. Dim lighting, deep shadows, excellent creature designs, and a semi-sympathetic character all complement the nervous tone. The sound design is spectacular in creating an ominous presence even when things are completely unseen, threatening our central figure. And even the lack of dialogue throughout, it doesn't hinder the enjoyment of the narrative. But the movie fumbles the ending by creating a dynamic that conflicts with all we've been shown previously, turning something frightening and suspenseful into something laughably stupid. For me, the ending ruins the film, and I'm choosing to end the story in my mind earlier when a dark sadness just envelops the narrative and becomes oppressing. There's no sex or nudity, or even profanity because there's no dialogue, but there is some violence. I give No One Will Save You 3 out of 5 couches. Now, this started out with a much higher score, but that ending, I mean, I just can't in good conscience give this a really positive score when the conclusion is such a letdown. Anyway, though, what's a sci fi movie that's one of your go tos? Now, for me, I watch The Martian many times a year, probably way more than I should. But let me know what you like in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.